Hey everybody, it's RNGSama here today with another replay cast. We're actually looking at RNGSama. For those who follow the Omni YouTube channel, you'll probably know this guy. This is, well, it's one of the top World of Warships Omni clan players. This is actually one of our cruiser mains, so I guess it's fitting that we are seeing some Amagi Battleship gameplay today. I mean, it's battle cruiser, so big, large, super tier 9 cruiser, I guess, thingy-majiggy. Things to note about the Amagi itself: overall 45% torpedo belt damage reduction. That is incredible. If you have lol yangs on the enemy team, they can torpedo you like with 3 torpedoes and they'll do like 10, 12, well, like 15k damage, and it's like, merp. You didn't do much, mate. Merp. So you can shrug off some torpedo hits quite nicely. And nice Bismarck. It's like Bismarck icon there. No, the ship's there, game. Look, 1.3 kilometers away. It's there. Whatever. Replay bugs aside. Having a look at the matchmaking, we get a Z, they get a Kagero, so Benson and Lol Yangs are the same. Otherwise, I think that's a destroyer favor in our way, which is nice. Alabama versus North Cal, they get the better ship there, but we have a Amagi instead of an extra, Amagi instead of the Monarch. Otherwise, it's double Germans here, so I'd say, I mean, spamming HE, 32mm of armor everywhere, but we got more accurate guns of a longer range. And of course, we have the ability to spam some pretty devastating AP as well against stuff that's broadside at medium-long range as well. So I'd say that we have the advantage in battleships, only by a little bit. But we do also have a bit of a destroyer advantage, but they do get an OM player there. So, well, it's OMV, but still. Regardless, opening up this match, it looks like we have a Turbines Alabama over there, Bismarck, and us here going towards the AB side, which is a pretty reasonable split. What's interesting to note, however, as we launch our scout plane there, anything useful thing to have, and for those that don't know, mouse, left mouse button once to enter the normal camera mode. Well, the player camera, zoom in, zoom out, and then you can click again, and you can go back to this. You have to do this twice, and this will basically get rid of it. We do slightly overlead the Bismarck, the Turpets even. We do have a shell that falls a bit short, but it doesn't penetrate his underwater belt. We also know there's a destroyer inside of Bravo, because all 4 of their battleships have been spotted, and it's a battleship and destroyer only game. No aircraft carriers and no cruisers. I guess you wouldn't really want to be in a cruiser in this kind of game. Anyways, do that twice and it won't come back again. Just mentioning out there for anyone that's, doesn't know how to get rid of it, or anyone that maybe, I don't know, doing YouTube content and doing this kind of stuff that, doesn't want to have this annoying thing there. Regardless, 7,458 damage against North Carolina, 2 penetrations, which is about right on the damage. Looking at maybe getting a shot and, against the guy in B, but we're never going to be able to reset it, although we do have a bit of a cap advantage here. Locking in the turbines, I think the guy's been slowing down a little bit, so I'm not sure if this is slightly overled or not, so hey, well, I guess we're just hoping to pick up some good damage off him, but indeed, it does turn out he has slowed down. Maybe we can get some overpens? Nah, it doesn't. The guy has successfully evaded our salvo, but we can get another 2 more off with our scout plane, so there's no real reason not to. Regardless, we are now staying spotted after having shot, so with the Lol Yang and Benson spotted, there's only actually 1 target that could potentially be in a position to torpedo us. Lol Yang's almost certainly going to go forward, he's getting shot by the guys behind, but our salvos are in the air, so bit unlucky dispersion, but if, if we had aimed it correctly, we could have gotten a good damage. Kagero shows up, but I guess we're making the assumption he's going to smoke up and not provide an engagement target for us. Personally, with the plane up and also that we're going for the shot, I would actually try to shoot the Lol Yang again, because here's the thing. The Kagero, if he's going to stay spotted, we can engage him in 30 seconds again once that gun comes up again, provided a Z-23 doesn't get battleship across half the map. But we actually do fail to pick up a hit on the Lol Yang. The guy has actually decided he doesn't really want to sit there getting shot at anymore. So it turns out it doesn't pay off, and our Z-23 bleeds quite a lot of health to incoming from the other side of the map. At this point, I personally would not shoot the Lol Yang. It is the more dangerous ship. However, having seen the health of our Z-23, I don't really think it's a good idea to sustain a trade against, for the Z-23's sake. We do pick up a really good shot, but our Z-23, realizing that he doesn't actually have battleship port, has decided to smoke up. I personally think I would have shot the Kagero right there, especially considering the Kagero never smoked up, which is probably a good indication that the Kagero actually is running the torpedo reload booster instead of smoke. Now, our battleship... Oh, never mind. If that's the same from the World of Tanks clan, I'm sorry. I don't really like shit talking in this sense, but this one I'm gonna give it to you. I don't like that. I don't like that clan from World of Tanks. If it is truly the same, then I think you deserve this. But we did a little bit of damage as the guy basically commits suicide, so his gameplay definitely has not been very good. Very important thing to keep in mind about ranked gameplay that this is, and the reason I'm mentioning this is because it is the psychology of ranked. And why is the psychology of ranked incredibly important as our Z23 actually finds himself in a bit of an unfortunate engagement? We need to get in there and try to get some damage against this Kagero. But I don't think we're going to get a second shot. We slightly overlead it, but you never know what the guy's going to do in terms of maneuvers. But RZ is stuffed. But with 18 seconds left to go on the guns, the only problem is the smoke screen in front of us. Anyways, the useless suiciding battleship is now complaining in chat, as exactly as you'd expect. The important thing to note about ranked is, especially if you're not on the top level end of players, is that if you make yourself look like an idiot, everyone else on your team, especially if you make yourself look like an idiot in all chat and all 13 people in the chat recognize your name, and if you repeatedly do this over more games, people are going to get demoralized. They're looking in a team list, and we just go to the chat. They go like, "Ah, fuck, we got this idiot on our team," and they'll immediately enter saving star mode, which means your chances of winning, despite not doing anything about your individual gameplay capacity, has just gone down. This is incredibly important to keep in mind, especially if you don't actually, quote-unquote, have a name for yourself. Anyways, RNGSama here, coming close up beaching, deciding not to continue an engagement there, probably wanting to save up in case the Kagero comes around the corner, and the torpedo reload booster Kagero in our broadside is very, very lethal. Now, we're gonna hit this island, that's kind of unavoidable at that point. However, the Kagero has launched torpedoes, and of course, we're gonna be spotted from the targets now up our tail end. Unfortunate 2 deflections. Bismarck, he dodges it, but the enemy battleships are now, well, they're sukabliating down the 9-10 line, but we also know that there is a destroyer in Bravo, but it cannot be the Kagero, because those Kagero torpedoes that just went this way, well, let's put it this way, there's no way a Kagero, those torpedoes just expired somewhere around here, is getting from here, which is the 10-kilometer range, into there, faster than her 60-something, 61 or 67 knot torpedoes, is not getting the, at best, 40-knot ship in here, faster than 60-knot torpedoes get here. Forget it. If at the best, it's going to be at the same time. So, even that, I'd consider it unlikely. And there you go. Lol Gang gets spotted. And, well, I'm actually in player cam. We're opting to basically not full dump the rear turret salvos in case they're going to hit the island. Very good foresight there by RNGSama. However... dear. It's Kagero. Now, if that opponent Kagero was a bit smart, he'd realize that, oh dear, we're still locked. So, we're going to be in full torpedo evasion mode, and we do, only taking one, and now this Kagero he's made a bit of a mistake. He didn't maintain a broadside, and if he had a torpedo reload booster up online, which I think he should have had torpedoes up at that time anyways, if he had his reload booster online, he could easily have just rushed us down and ended our game right then and there, and that would have been really unfortunate. Now, I think RNGSama did hold the damage control party until confirming the kill on the Kagero. A very good move in case that he does have torpedo reload booster. Something you'd have to be careful about that, because you do see these people around. Regardless, low HP turrets in the distance, definitely the correct target to engage. The capture timer is ticking up already, so we're not going to find ourselves getting reset. So it's clear to engage. Like, when targets are that far away from you, there's, in my opinion, absolutely no reason not to engage. The guy does actually make a little bit of an outturn, so he gets away with it, although too good a dispersion on our end actually does kind of punish us for not predicting he's going to go farther away from us, although it's kind of difficult. However, our last remaining destroyer has just committed suicide. Our Bismarck does snap a last shot off, but I doubt it's going to find its mark against the turret. Probably now, with nothing else to manage and gone silent, he's got all the time in the world and the means to micromanage his own evasive maneuvers for evading shells. Now, Turpis is derping APA, as Monarch is spamming AG, and North Carolina behind it. I'm actually not sure at this point. However, it is a 2 versus 5 situation, so we've got some serious carrying on our hands to do here if we are to win. And of course, that's not actually just 2 over penetrations worth of damage. That's 1 full penetration plus overpen plus overpen. So it's 2 overpens plus a full pen worth of damage. Regardless, Turpus is derping AP at us, North Carolina is derping at AP at us, Monarch is derping HE at us. I probably would have derped the Monarch back right there, but the Turpus seems to be looking for a better angle against us, so I mean, it's an easier target in terms of armor-wise. Both the Turpus and Monarch are squishy. Monarch is 32 everywhere with a very tough belt. Turpus is 50 mil deck upper and tapering 120 lower into around 300 main. Regardless, as the Bismarck in front of us is tanking quite a lot of damage, we're actually being secondary by that Turpitz in the distance. Maybe he just forgot about his guns. But it's actually not that bad of a decision by the Turpitz, as a crapload of fish coming in from the remaining enemy Benson. That's actually very nasty if they do find the target, but they don't. Thankfully, the Bismarck gets away from that scot-free, otherwise I think the ship would have actually just gone down up front there. We're taking a continued hammering from Turpitz second. There is one fire on our aft end of all places, rather unlucky. Regardless, with the Turpitz now engaging our Bismarck, I think we can be quite confident in showing a little bit of angle to try to nail the Turpitz in the back. However, he actually reconceals himself before we're able to engage. Really, really unfortunate, as this guy in front of us is reasonably well angled, and you can see that shells going mostly into the main battery turret or the conning tower with only one saturated penetration. Now, we don't really want to get too close to a Turpitz. Those things have torpedoes, and torpedoes can hurt. We might be in Namagi, however, it will most likely force us to bleed a damage control party as the Turpitz completely dubs his salvo as well. Now, with our main battery coming online rather soon, and the torpedoes now spotted by our plane, Turpitz, probably figuring he's going to find himself going down, decides to lead marker aim them as the enemy Benson now actually smokes up and reveals the position, although, you know, we kind of had a general idea of where the guy was, but being forced into the engagement was kind of shitty. Now, we're kind of going to ignore the battleships, not even going to have a look at them, probably more focused on the destroyer. However, we do have some HE shells coming our way, but if we can pick this guy up and if he is low HP, this could be a very critical kill for the game. Eliminating the torpedo threat, despite us being in the Armageddon, could be incredibly good for us, and there you go, one hit, all we needed to finish off the Benson. Way too risky play from the opponent's OMV Benson there. I think he basically made a very critical mistake, which actually gave us a chance to come back into this. However, not having been able to finish the Turpitz off the distance could also prove to be detrimental to our chances, because he can always just run, and most importantly, he's providing points that the opponent team desperately needs to keep themselves in this game improper, because now we also need to basically engage him and get ourselves into A and get the cap. Now, we've decided to try to attempt to fully turn our turrets, and the Turpitz in front of us now revealed likely permanently by the fact that we've simply gotten too close, and he now even decided to engage with his main battery. So that's definitely a spotting by surface. And this is important because if we can keep up the pressure against that Turpitz, we can basically catch up and hopefully kill him. Now, a Turpitz on low HP, at this point I honestly would just swap to high explosives. North Carolina, unlikely to give us a broadside throughout the rest of the game. Monarch is a ship that's very vulnerable to 32mm of armor absolutely everywhere, so yeah. Excuse me, just needed to get something to drink. Regardless, RNG says, fuck you, although we wouldn't have needed to get the 2 over penetrations against them there. Our guns do 11,012 and... No, the one one's 1160, I think. Never mind. So we just needed to overpen him once and we would have knocked him out. Which is kind of shitty, because, you know, we need to shoot him again. And if the guy gets enough distance, he's 15.7 now, so, like, if we continue to turn and this salvo misses, the guy's going to get concealed. Regardless, a Bismarck fails the engagement against North Carolina. I mean, North Carolina, you don't want to take it at long range. You don't want to take it at close range either in a Bismarck, although, you know, you fight it at secondary range and spam AT is not too bad. Regardless, North Carolina way off in the distance, but we did actually at least pick up the Turpitz, and this is the important thing. Ooh, that's an interesting chat message to get though. Broadsiding North Carolina, my dispersion fucks me twice. Information from our the previous battleship that we had surviving. Well, one of the 3 battleship players we actually had, I'm not going to count that Turpitz who just committed suicide, because that guy clearly doesn't seem to want to actually attempt to get himself to rank 1 with any form of decency, skill, or care in the world, it seems, because that's really the kind of gameplay you'd expect from someone that suicides. Now, we're entering the cap, we'll need 40 seconds to acquire it. However, if that... I was about to say, if the Monarch decides to come around the corner right now, he's going to be able to reset us. which is kind of unfortunate, so we decided to immediately engage, and now we have, well, first of all, the Monarch is broadside, North Carolina is kind of broadside. The North Carolina understands he needs to get himself towards the Bravo. Now, we also need to build a little bit of distance to the Monarch, and we can maybe get ourselves concealed, but equally, on the other hand, this Monarch broadsiding us, if we can pick up this kill, that actually just allows us to insert gun in North Carolina and win. I'm actually not kidding. Anyways, North Carolina, he's 15k away. He does reconceal. Monarch, however, about 11 and a bit kilometers away, does not reconceal. He actually re-engages us, and it's 1260 damage. So yeah, one other pen would have finished the Bismarck at that point. However, HE shells incoming from the North Carolina is actually a little bit important, because it means that if these two guys just spam HE together, and at this point I also would swap the high explosives, that Monarch is not going to give us a favorable angle. Anyways, we've gotten ourselves concealed, and this is important that Monarch is not yet concealed. He now is. However, I would not have shot there. I would have tried to secure the cap and then get myself forward. This is an incredibly risky move. We're going to have to count on the opponent team missing us there incredibly as we get some really, really shitty RNG there against the Monarch. But at least we know we can conceal ourselves, and I would have just swapped the high explosives during this little bit of downtime. But we actually somehow get this cap without being hit, and that is ridiculous. Now, if we're spamming HE here, or if we were spamming HE here, I'd keep the front guns on the Monarch and the rear turrets on the North Carolina. The sole purpose of this is just to keep the angle towards the Monarch, to still literally at the Monarch. We have our rear turrets pointing the North Carolina, but these guys seem to be really keen on giving us broadside. Regardless, we get pasted to fire immediately from the we actually get double fire, but we do actually have fire prevention. At this point, I would honestly damage control party, and well, we're no longer going to be able to close a distance because it's simply too close. I think that slightly higher and a slightly less lead. I think that's gonna probably find itself overshooting if the Monarch decides to stop, drop, and slow it down. And yeah, one deflection on the front end belt, which is kind of shitty. But anyways, so we've decided to just early trigger the heal. Correct move there. Getting the next heal up as early as possible is going to be critical in this kind of situation. We're also now facing we damage control party there, seeing the North Carolina salvo inbound, but we've already let the fires burn for quite a while. Honestly, I would just let them continue to burn, and instead get full damage control party value from the next fire. North Carolina shows us that he's not a complete, absolute idiot, so he's decided, oh hey, look, double fire. Oh, 45-second duration as well. This is a concealment build on the Armagi, so I think that's actually us fucked at this point. Yeah, I think that's actually legitimately us fucked. Because we don't have a heal until 44 seconds. The North Carolina is 10 kilometers away from us. We're never going concealed. We have more HE fire incoming and 32 millimeters of armor. We cannot tank that. Monarch unfortunately survives with one of a pen's worth of health left, and of course, if we'd been able to pick him up earlier with that one slightly overlaid and under turn predicted shot, he'd be gone. We probably wouldn't be on double fire now. So, rip, I guess. However, with both of these guys spamming HE, it's actually a bit of a risk, but the more broadside you show, it's a 1 hour draw. 1 hour draw challenge. It actually ended up being 1.5 hours. It was my Happy New Year little 1 hour draw. Holy shit. Goddamn thing looks so fucking derpy. But hey, whatever. Back to the game I'm trying to comment on here. If we had showed more broadside, more shells can hit the belt. The shells that would hit the belt when showing broadside are shells that can hit your deck when showing your angle against your opponent. Keep that in mind, guys. And of course, they're going to overshoot you. They're going to hit you. There's still a gun turret there that can absorb damage. Torpedo bulge is 100% damage absorption. So there's a lot of area there, and of course, superstructure, which is what they're going to be targeting, is going to be saturated at that point. So you're going to receive a lot less damage overall, showing broadside to HE spammers than anything else. However, North Carolina in the past has actually displayed some skill and been shooting AP. So we'll get away with one HE salvo from the North Carolina. Maybe we could bait him into shooting AP and try to play this game. But the important thing there that kind of screwed us was not being able to pick up the Monarch. Now, spamming HE it's always a thing, but you saw how effective it was against us, and it would be equally effective against the Monarch. And it's a thing. A lot of people don't they don't really think too much about which ammunition to expend against the enemy, and against 32 millimeters of armor absolutely bloody everywhere ships like the Monarch. Especially when he starts, getting pressured by AP. I don't know if he was expecting us to shoot HE back, which is why he showed so much broadside, but To be honest, considering his gameplay overall, I'm actually not really sure, but spamming HE at that, there's no shame in that. And against the North Carolina, I mean, if it was 1 versus 1, us versus the North Carolina, there is always the theoretical chance for us to just to go in there and insert a gun. However, the North Carolina in a concealment spec does have a better concealment than us, and if he'd gotten into Bravo, we'd pretty much just be playing Ring Around the Rosie, and it wouldn't go well in our favor because they'd have access to 2 caps more than we'd have access to 2 caps ourselves. So the end result would, regardless of what, still mean that we'd have to insert gun in North Carolina at some point of the game. So if we'd gotten better RNG, picked up the Monarch, gotten better RNG, picked up the Turpits earlier, I think we could have actually gotten away with a win there, but I don't really want to say RNG played the... I know, it's his name. Too much of a part in this defeat in that sense otherwise. Anyways, I do hope you guys enjoyed this replay commentary / replay analysis. Sorry for not having this up on time on Monday as I originally planned it, or actually had Tuesday's video up at all. My Tuesday schedule looks like get out of bed at 7, get home at 9 p.m. So that sounds like fun. And on Monday, I actually spent like from 10 o'clock to 6 o'clock in the evening, I was basically cooking stuff for a local event. So I came home completely dead at the event at again like 10 p.m. and unfortunately forgot to publish his videos. I'm really sorry for that. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll be putting up more replay casts. If you'd like me to go over your own replays, send them to replays.straight123@gmail.com. There'll be a detailed description of that in the description below. You can tell I'm getting tired. Tuesday evenings, I hate them. Anyways, hope you like this. Give me a like, subscribe to the channel, the usual shit, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.